What is up, everyone? My chair just squeaked. I didn't fart, so it's a very squeaky chair. Alright, so in today's video, we're going to go over a bunch of safety tips. I was going to title this 10 safety tips, but I can already tell there are going to be many more, so get ready. Some tips flying at you. The first tip is going to be warm up super duper well. Yes, not just super well, super duper well. That duper, it's like a double super. So warm up more than you think you should. If you're not competing in a powerlifting meet, it doesn't matter if you lose a few percentage of strength. It's better to warm up more than potentially put yourself at risk. And if you don't feel like you're warmed up, it's fine to take a certain weight again. So if you take 60 kilos in the deadlift and you feel like you're not quite right, your technique isn't perfect, take it again. Do it for another set of 5 or a set of 10. Doing sets of 10 when you're warming up, theoretically, it might make you slightly weaker for your top set, but if you're not competing, it doesn't really matter. Another tip is on the deadlift, you need to brace. You don't need to necessarily use a belt, but you do need to learn how to brace. And this is not going to be breathing out like some morons say. It is going to be breathing down as much as you can into your diaphragm. And then you're not contracting your abs like you would flex them on the beach, but you are it's almost like you're about to be punched in the stomach. So if you were about to be punched in the stomach, what would you do? Everyone knows how to do this. Usually it doesn't need to be taught. The PALLF press is a good way to teach it, however. So here you're seeing the weight is trying to pull you sideways, and you are forced to brace to keep yourself in position. So this is going to work the obliques. It's going to get blood into the transverse abdominis, into the entire core, and it's a great way to warm up before squats and deadlifts. So some people say that I am very rounded over when I deadlift. My upper and perhaps my middle back is rounded over, but my lower back is absolutely braced. It is rock solid. So even if I fail a rep, I am braced. I am in position, and I've never had any issues when deadlifting. I've deadlifted millions and millions of kilos, and I've never had any kinds of issues because I am braced. The next one is going to be about the bench press. You need to be able to pack your scapula. So if you are bench pressing and your shoulders are protracted, so they are forward, you're going to get injured. You're going to get injured really quickly. You need to be able to arch slightly at least, and then be able to retract and depress your scapula. So the best visualization for this is to keep your chest as high as possible. Furthermore, you are going to want to tuck your elbows. It doesn't need to be, where you're touching around your belly, but you do need to at least tuck your elbows slightly. This is going to save your shoulders. You can flare your shoulders slightly on the way up, flare your elbows out, but you should not be touching around the top of your chest or around your neck. That is a really good way to get injured. Another tip is when you're squatting and deadlifting in the same session, keep in mind that if you're doing any kind of appreciable volume, on the second lift, you will be weaker. So if you usually use 110 kilos on the squat and you're doing it after deadlifts, you're going to have to reduce the weight. How much? I don't know. It could be 10%, it could be 20%. It's something you have to feel. Another tip is on the overhead press. Don't focus on your arms, don't focus on your hands, don't focus on your shoulders. Focus on two areas, your glutes and your core. So you need to, again, be bracing, not flaring back, not arching back, and you need to be focused on your glutes. So you want to squeeze your glutes, keep your ribs down, and brace. Those are the two areas where you need to focus. Another tip is to check the plates before every set. Yep, every set, just give them a quick eye over, see if it is even on both sides. If you're doing a squat especially or a bench press, you're unracking the bar, so it's important to make sure that it is even, because people do steal plates. Another tip is if it feels stupid, it's probably stupid. So they say don't do stupid stuff in the gym, and then people ask me, Jeff, how do I know if something is stupid? You should know, okay? If it's like a partner-assisted biceps curl. I mean, the other day I saw someone doing Romanian deadlifts, and the trainer was helping them with the first rep. So they couldn't even deadlift the rep. The trainer was helping them to lift the bar. They were rounding over, wrenching the bar up with the help of their trainer, and then doing rounded backed RDLs with the weight. That is insanely stupid. Don't do stuff like that. On the bench as well, if you cannot lift the weight, you should not be lifting it, okay? So just because you have a partner who is rowing the weight up, that doesn't mean that's going to be beneficial. Yes, maybe you're feeling a heavier weight and it's an eccentric overload, but it's also not necessary for most people, and it's quite dangerous. Speaking of dangerous, keep in mind that in the morning, your back is very vulnerable. So when you wake up in the morning, your discs have actually opened up and you need to get them moving in the morning. So I've had people tell me, I sat down on the toilet and herniated a disc, or I went down to tie my shoes and I herniated a disc. Now, this isn't going to be everyone, but keep in mind that in the morning is when the vast majority of these issues happen. So in the morning, give yourself a few hours to warm up, and certainly don't squat or deadlift right after waking up, because 1, you'll be weaker, 2, it's more dangerous. Another factor is sleep and hydration. If you only get 4, 5, or even 6 hours of sleep, you will be much, much more at risk for injury compared to 8 or 9 hours. They've actually studied this, and your risk of injury goes way, way up. Same with hydration. If you've been on vacation and you've been walking around in a hot place all day, and then you want to go to the gym afterwards, be careful, okay? Take a long time to warm up. Make sure you're drinking water and you're getting in carbohydrates during the workout to make sure your muscles are fully saturated with that delicious H2O. It's got electrolytes. It's what the plants crave. The one exception is if you are Eddie Hall, who seems to be permanently dehydrated. I don't know how he does it. He's not actually human. I think he's some kind of alien robot velociraptor or something. Another tip is beware of left to right imbalances. So I think almost everyone has these to a certain extent, but if you are feeling twisting when you're squatting, or some kind of, shifting, the weight is shifting to your left, or you feel your right leg is working a little bit harder, then be very, very careful, because that is absolutely going to get you injured a lot more than if your weight is balanced, if your form is good. So this should be corrected as soon as possible, and don't go up in weight before you correct this. So correct this with lunges, with split squats, as well as glute medius work. So speaking of that, I think prehab can be very, very useful. However, it is often overdone. There are entire YouTube channels devoted to prehab, which to me is absolutely crazy. Make sure there is a very specific reason that you are doing any prehab movement. If you can't explain it, a specific reason why you are doing this movement, you should not be doing it, because you are probably wasting your time. That being said, I do recommend a few movements that can help just about anyone. The first one, you guessed it, let's say it together, face pulls. I do think this is a very unique movement pattern. It can help a lot of people, and it's just an area that gets injured so much. It's so easy to correct, and face pulls are the best way to do this. You can do them with the overhand grip that I usually recommend. You can do them where you're grabbing the rope like it's a D. Just any way you want to do it. You can pull right to the mouth. You can pull to the nose, to the forehead, above the head, to the chin. Wherever you want to drop it, that's fine. In fact, I would recommend doing a variety of. So some over, some under, some pulling high, pulling low. Some are more like a row. Just do them, okay? They're all good. And working different muscles in different ways is going to leave you bulletproof. I also think back extensions are going to be a very good movement. They really open up the sacrum. They don't put as much stress on the spine. They actually open up the discs and allow recovery to happen much, much more quickly. They are an excellent adjunct to deadlifting. So if you're deadlifting, you should do back extensions. They're also really good for glute activation. And a lot of people, they use too much lower back when they're deadlifting. They're not actually finishing with their glutes, and this allows you to actually focus on not isolating the glutes, but on really contracting the glutes in the top position. Also, PALLF presses, like I mentioned before, those are going to teach you how to brace, which is absolutely crucial for so many lower body and even some upper body lifts. You must learn how to brace. It is absolutely essential. Another tip is to be flexible. I don't mean physically flexible, I mean mentally flexible. So physical flexibility is, it's fine, not super necessary in a lot of cases, but can be handy. But, mentally flexible. So what do I mean by that? If you had a session planned and you can't really get to the gym, there is no harm in pushing it back. Or let's say you only get 4 or 5 hours of sleep, or you sleep really badly. There is no harm in pushing the session back a day, or even skipping it entirely. You are not the sum of one workout. You are the sum of all of your workouts. And just moving a workout slightly, or even skipping it sometimes, that is not going to really have a big impact on your long-term progress. You get injured in two situations. Number one, you feel really good, and thus you're too aggressive with the weights, or you don't warm up enough. You think, oh, I feel great today, and I'm going to go for a PR that's 10% over my PR. That's where you get messed up. Or where you feel bad, maybe you didn't eat enough, or you didn't sleep enough, or whatever, and you go for the weights that you usually go for. And you think, oh, because I did 100 kilos last week, of course I can do 100 kilos this week. And you do 90 kilos in your warm-up and it feels really bad, and you go for 100 kilos anyway. And that's where you get messed up. All right, I could go on for hours, but unfortunately we are out of time. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel. Let me know how you stay healthy. If you have any tips, any advice, what would you tell someone who's just beginning in the gym? All right, stay safe wherever you are. I will see you next time. Peace.